Don't hesitate. I'm ready when you are.
Something is coming. Something big.
Don't hurt me, okay? I had to lure you into the video. I had to make you think you were watching a review for Christopher Nolan's Oppenheimer. I will be giving you a review of that film maybe in the next couple of days, but honestly, did my ploy work? Did my Dick Dastardly moustache convince you had to tune into this video?
Let's do it.
Yeah.
Me talking about Resident Evil Death Island may tune you out, it may turn you off, but as a big fan of the video game series and obviously the characters, I love all the characters, even the bad guys, but Jill Valentine is the love of my life. I mean, it's funny that she's called Jill Valentine. You know, Valentine's Day just has a whole new meaning for me. I know she's not real, but people do have their video game crushes. And in a day and age, ladies and gentlemen, where Western video gaming insists that you appreciate and admire the new downgrades in the attractive female character trope by taking an attractive actress and completely turning her into an abomination.
Wanker. Wanker.
And then you switch over to the East, where the Asians do love their attractive women in video gaming, because you know why? If they downgraded that, if they changed the model, you would see a serious, furious backlash from the fans.
Japan said Aerith is ugly. When Aerith's current design was first shown off in Final Fantasy VII Remake trailers, many Japanese gamers out there would instantly be triggered by this character's apparent new look. Outrage was spread, with some claiming that Square Enix had made the character look too old and more like an auntie now, with many calling for her to look the same as she does in the Advent Children movie. In Advent Children, she has larger eyes and a rounder face, with a remake backlash resulting in some Japanese players to complain that she is long-faced with angular features, going as far to claim that she now looks like a Western man.
White chicks.
But of course, we've got to celebrate 25 years of Resident Evil, which began all the way back in 1996. There was a few rumblings in the early 90s regarding the development of this series. So happy birthday, Chris, Claire, Leon S. Kennedy, Jill Valentine, Ada Wong, Albert Wesker. Oh yes, happy birthday to the whole lot of you and the crew at Capcom. Boy, you've given me some of the best years of my life when it comes to fan fiction and gaming and Jill Valentine's breasts. You know she's the poster girl for this film when the other characters are describing her as somebody who's off their leash. She can't be controlled, but you have to remember that Jill Valentine was mind controlled by Albert Wesker. Even tying into the video games, they make a reference to Resident Evil 6, where Chris Redfield talks about Piers Nivens, who saved his life in order for him to live. And I thought that was a nice little callback. I thought that was really cool. But you got supporting characters like Leon S. Kennedy who returns, and I do like his character design this time round. He's actually been to the gym, he's been working out, he's got more definition, he's a bit more bulkier now, which I appreciate, because if you see the other movies before this, Leon is quite lean and a little bit skinny, but he can handle himself, so I did appreciate that.
Leon?
Well, what do you know? Jill Valentine. How's it going?
Rebecca Chambers is back, and I thought her chemistry with Chris Redfield was lacking this time. In Vendetta, the two of them were more closer to each other. You felt there was a bit of an affection, a bit of flirting going on. And you know what? With this film, and if you've played the video games, you know, Jill and Chris, they're like the Star Bioterrorism Security Assessment Alliance members. They're like the hardcore members, and occasionally you might think there's something going on between them. It's more camaraderie and close friendship. And I know there's been fan fiction where Chris and Jill leave BSAA and they go and have kids and get married, you know, all wishful thinking. But in the video games, it's pretty much they are like two single entities. or should that be N titties?
Nice work, Dr. Taylor.
Wait a minute. Are you telling me this isn't Dr. Taylor? Guess I have to cancel my 2 o'clock appointment then. So if you'd seen Vendetta, and I would advise you to watch that, you'll see that Maria, who has unfortunately now become a super enhanced crazy woman out for revenge, is back working alongside Dylan Baker. Now, that's a very generic name, but you find out Dylan, at the beginning of the film, is working with a very close friend of his as part of the Umbrella Corps. They're sent into Raccoon City to kill the innocents, but save the corporate bigwigs, which drives Dylan insane because he doesn't want to kill innocents. He wants to save them, including his own team members. But of course, you know how that story plays out.
This has to be a mistake. They need a doctor or something. They need help.
Don't worry. There's better for you. And it's right here. Come here. No, I wanted you for so long.
And you do understand his motivations later on when he turns to the dark side. And of course, when I do hear the mere mention of Raccoon City,
It was really important to cast the actor that could bring Leon Kennedy to life. We did not want someone that looked identical.
just watch this version instead or play Resident Evil 2 and forget about the goddamn awful Netflix show that we had a couple of years ago. I am still trying to get rid of the memories even now. But of course we have our girl with the bosoms, Jill Valentine. She's got PTSD. She's just trying to get back to normal, just beating up people along the way who are just mean and angry at her. She's just refining her skills again at the firing range, just getting her knife out and tackling bad guys and infected zombies. It's all really good to look at. And of course, where the story really kicks into gear is when our intrepid trio of Chris, Claire Redfield, and by the way, Chris and Claire are brother and sister, but you don't really get a sense of that in the film. It's like the writers know that you are aware of who the characters are, but if you're normal and you don't watch Resident Evil or play the video games, you won't know the two of them are brother and sister. So they could have fleshed that out a little bit. Of course, then Leon and Rebecca and the lovely Jill all disguise themselves quite effectively as tourists who go to the island of Alcatraz, not to be confused with Carlos Alcaraz, who became our new Wimbledon champion last Sunday. Poor Novak Djokovic. Blah, 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 blah. Little man child. Because it's established in the story that this viral outbreak has occurred on the island. Now, one thing I want to say about the next part, now you might want to consider it a bit of a plot spoiler, but anybody that goes into Alcatraz after a while becomes a mutated zombie. And we see this happening, but for some reason these people are becoming infected very quickly. And how come our favorite gang of BSAA people aren't being affected? And of course, they do answer that question later on, but the one flaw that I found in that was how come certain people, it takes longer for them to become a zombie? But I guess with the motivations of one protagonist, I shall say the main protagonist of this film, it's there to utilize or to make her suffer in the process. It's a very intriguing plotline and I really enjoyed that. You know what? I'll say this much about Resident Evil Death Island. It's like going back in time. It's going back to a time where this particular film is better than any other Stage 4 cancer Marvel films we've had in the last 4 years. It's that good. There's also a sponsorship from Seiko because a couple of times in the movie you do see like a close-up of the watches Chris and Leon are wearing, and on the end credits you actually see that it's a brand sponsorship with Seiko watches. I've looked at the watch itself. It's an Astron watch. It's a limited edition out of 600. I'm a bit of a watch aficionado. If you've got £2,500 to spare, you can grab yourself one of the limited edition Astron watches. Personally, with that kind of money, you either save it, or if you really want your first step into the luxury watch market, get yourself a pre-owned Tag Heuer or a very old Amiga Seamaster from the early 90s. If you can do that and get it for maybe £1,800, you're kind of on that right step to starting a mini watch collection of luxury items to be worn on your wrists. I mean, where else would you wear a watch? So Resident Evil Death Island, do I recommend it? Yes. If you're a die-hard Resident Evil fan like I am, you will absolutely love it. Get yourself the 4K version, which I'm waiting to order when it becomes available again through Amazon. And I do hope when the next film comes out that we get Albert Wesker. He is long overdue to be in the film. They could make it a flashback film because they did talk about the events leading up to Jill Valentine's brainwashing. You could go down that route. You could even look, and one thing I will say about this movie, it's the first time that we see Chris, Jill, Claire, they've met their match and they're actually in genuine danger. And I really appreciated that, because in all the other films, they're invincible, they're unstoppable. But in this one, they get their asses kicked in so many different ways. And I gotta say, kudos to the writers of this movie. Again, co-produced between Capcom and Sony Pictures. Just, guys, this is easily a 10 out of 10 for me because I'm being absolutely biased. And speaking of which, I think it's about time that before I say my usual greeting, which of course is, if you want to see more, and if you were me, and if I were you, you better come back for the next video. This time round, I'm just going to look towards my right, or your left, and just say that I need some alone time now with Miss Valentine. So, Jill, what do you say?